Hello, NuPIC. This is sprint planning session for sprint 29. It's August 22nd, 2014. And let's jump right in, get my screen shared. So these are the closed pull requests from sprint 28, which is a sprint we're closing out right now. I'm going to go over some of the main essential repos, just a few of these, like NuPIC core, for example. We added back a compile flag that shows errors on unused function parameters. Mark did that. Austin added a C++ only region example, and Utensil fixed a build failure on master NuPIC branch. So that's good. On NuPIC, there was a bit more activity. We had some testing and documentation added, which is great. I removed a class that was never loaded in the swarming code. And I also removed parallel unit test runs, which happen to also swallow syntax errors. So we'll try and get that re-enabled at some point, because it did save a few minutes of time on the build. Jayden did some cleanup with renaming and temporal memory, and added errors to the hotgem example. Some of the other things, if you've noticed, we've got a new repo, which is the Java port. So I've been working with David Ray, who's the original author of the Java port, to get that repository into a good state for reporting on all and testing and building and all that stuff. So a little bit more work to do there, but mostly it's just David Ray continuing to work on algorithm implementation there. The other stuff is just kind of tooling improvements, content updates on Numenta.org. Nothing extremely important. So those are the closed issues. Here are the open PRs that are currently in the sprint. So I want to do a quick review of those. Most of these are still just still under work and will be moved to the next sprint. Like the stuff that Jim Bridgewater is working on. Mark is continuing. He's kind of back from a sabbatical and continuing on the anomaly modular PR. I got a contribution to the README from somebody who hasn't signed our contributor's license yet, so I'm still prodding him to do that before we can merge that. It's just a grammatical correction. Jay, one of our interns, is still working on some benchmark work. Let's see, we still have these open PRs about the let's see, stripped unlearned columns. I think this is for core, and there's also one for NuPIC as well. So those are still under work. I think this is green. I don't know if you're ready to merge that, Scott, but it looks like it's good.
Very close.
Very close. Okay, and then there's an associated one of these bottom ones that is the NuPIC complement to that. We had a short discussion on the mailing list about a default configuration value for the SP's wraparound parameter. So Jim Bridgewater is forging ahead with that change. That's what these are. Utensil and another guy, I think his name is Richard or Robert Crowder. Richard Crowder. They're got a little bit more attention for the Windows support. So they are both sort of now and then actively contributing to that. That build is passing, and they've got an app conveyor build that's trying to run on Windows. So that's an ongoing NuPIC core enhancement for the build. It's got some test refactoring, and here's that other one I mentioned. It's the component complement to that one. And I haven't heard back from Utensil about the C++ tests. I did send him an email asking him how he thinks we should move ahead with that, so that's still kind of on hold. So those are the currently open PRs. I think all of these I'm going to push ahead. Let's see, pull requests open, and we will bump all these in NuPIC to sprint 29. and the NuPIC core as well. All of the pull requests going into Sprint 29. Okay. Now we're going to look at the currently open issues in Sprint 28. I've done some cleanup beforehand, like I always try to do, or else this meeting would last just too long. Here's one last one that needs to go to Sprint 29. There we go. So open issues in Sprint 28. Let's go by repo here. NuPIC core, the wraparound parameter, like I mentioned, that's the issue for that. Now this spatial pooler behavior deviates from the Python implementation. I do believe he has a PR for that, and it's a test, I think. No, that's not it. There was one PR, Scott, that I commented on that Jim added. I think it was in NuPIC, but Jim added a test that failed, and I think it seemed to be a legitimate test, but yeah, the SP permanent test. And I want to know, what is your take on moving forward with this, because I think the test is valid and it uncovers a condition that we need to fix. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have another task that I was kind of using for this, and another issue that he found. But yeah, definitely a valid issue.
Okay. It's kind of hard to hear you there. Was this is this something that I mean, we can't merge this while it's failing. So
yeah, I think it's definitely a valid issue. I haven't looked at his test specifically, so I don't know. I'd have to look at his test, but yeah, definitely something we should be looking into.
So I assume that before we can merge this, we'll need to create some other PR that fixes it as well, so we can merge it along with it. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there an issue for that?
No.
It says fixes 1225. What's that? Okay. I don't know if he's planning on. This is assigned to him currently, so I don't know if he's planning on fixing it or not.
Okay. I'll ask him.
Okay.
Well, so
if he's not going to, then assign it to me.
Hey. All right. We still have C++ unit test ticket open. I believe they are generating XUnit style reports, but this is sort of, this ticket isn't very well defined. I might go back in and clean it up. So David hasn't worked on this, but I still think it's important to move this region implementation factory out of NuPIC core into NuPIC. I haven't heard a lot of activity from David recently, so I think I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with it. We'll move it into the next sprint, but I'll try and see if I can ping him again on that. And then enabling the random SP and the new spatial pooler. I think this is, I thought this was ready to go. No, this is just an issue. But there is a PR that's green for it, I believe. Yeah, this is the one I was talking about earlier, so sorry. You said there's a little bit more work to do on that. Okay, so those are the NuPIC core tickets. These are the NuPIC tickets. This top one, problem running Python test, has become just like a collection area for lots of people's errors. So at this point, I need to break it up into different tickets and try and figure out what the individual issues people are having are. So that's on me. Some more spatial pooling stuff that Jim opened. Language independent checkpoint and serialization. So yeah, quick discussion on this. I sort of asked, was this for an investigation? And if the investigation is done, should we close it? And if so, what is our next action?
Oh. The serialization. So is the title say evaluate options?
Yeah, evaluate options, which is I think what Viraj did while he was here.
Yeah, it's done.
I guess it's done. I was kind of hoping we'd have like a solid plan for moving forward. I guess we can close this, and I don't really know how to go about getting consensus on how to move forward for what we're going to do.
Well, the first step was moving to C++11, right?
So that may or may not influence it. But if we decide to do protocol buffers, we do that now.
Right.
That only really affects that.
But at least it makes that decision possible.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it makes the
Right.
decision to do captain proto instead of protocol buffers possible. Yeah.
Now I guess we have to do a vote, or do we need to collect more data on those two? Or?
Well, it looks like the C++ 11 stuff seems like people are okay with that.
Yeah.
So then after that, then somebody needs to propose something to serialization, I guess.
Matt, is that vote closed, the C++11?
It should be pretty much. Hold on, let me think here. Where is it? Hackers. It's definitely past the time, so yeah, it's. I just need to close it. So nobody said -1 on it. Yeah, yeah. So here I mentioned it's been over 3 days now, and I'm asking what are our next actions for this.
Right.
So I think we can assume that we're going to move to C++11. Given that assumption, I think we should close this ticket and create a ticket for serialization using the best option for C++11.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm not even going to. I'll create a ticket after this about the implementing the serialization method. Let's do this. Let's just do it right now. And we're going to do this in Python, right?
Well, it would be for both.
Sorry, what?
The whole point of it is that it would work across languages.
So we're going to do the serialization in NuPIC core?
Yes.
Okay.
And NuPIC.
So would it be a NuPIC ticket initially, or a NuPIC core ticket?
I guess you'd have both.
Hmm.
Which would we do first? I'd say there's different benefits for both, so I can see either way.
It would be great if we could get out of pick one. It would be really nice.
Well, yeah. Also, we have seen some random deserialization bugs in C++, but they seem very rare, and we haven't been able to reproduce them at all, but people report them every once in a while. On the Python side, it's nice to get rid of pickle, and also you can start renaming files without. Yeah. So there's different advantages on both sides.
Okay. So there's going to be some code that has to be written on both sides, basically.
I think of those two, the pickle one is a much bigger issue. Because of the backward incompatibility, it's really, I think, slowing down the community.
Yeah, but I mean, the first step is to create a new serialization method, and then create a way to migrate.
And one of the questions is, we're going to have one set of specifications for the format, and so I assume that will live in core.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm leaving this rather broad right now. I don't know. Is this something that we need to do quickly or not? Are we gonna be able to work on this in the next sprint, or should I put it in the one after?
I think we should try to decide on the format that we're going to use, and run it by the community. We want to know our intent soon, i.e. the next couple weeks.
Okay, I'm not going to create an issue on this until we have a few more solid details, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, let's see. There's a lot of documentation tasks in here, a lot of bugs, SP bugs. Trying to look for anything important that needs some discussion. Docstring checker. No. So we're getting some good documentation from some people in the community, so that's good. This guy Sylvain is working on some docs. He said he was going to work on CLA model, so that's great. Jeff, you're still on tap to improve the Wikidoc for encoders, which Chayton did a bit of, so you might not have a lot of work to do.
All right.
Renaming NuPIC to NuPIC Python, I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. I'm going to move that ahead to the next sprint. The other ones, though, I think we're just going to move ahead unless someone sees something here that they just know is not going to happen.
Is there any other documentation-related action, or is that whole long email thread?
About what? I'm sorry.
Documentation. Is there any action from that email thread that we need to do?
I'm totally missing your point. What email thread are we talking about?
The email thread on documentation and updating the white paper and all of that stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Is there any action that has to come out of that?
Most likely, but I don't think we've quite decided what we're going to do. I haven't seen any responses from the community since your last email. I was hoping someone would jump in and say, sure, I started the wiki facts for Jeff, and they would start writing questions in there. So I'm hoping that happens. If not, I could start an empty document and kind of poke them and try and get them to fill that in.
Yeah, and if people have other ideas, that's fine too.
Yeah. So I'm sort of just waiting to hear what they have to say about that.
Okay.
Well, Fergal said he was going to work on the one that's in the repository. There's like two different approaches going on, it sounds like.
Yeah,
there's a wiki approach and there's a sort of a repository approach.
I need to let Fergal know that NuPIC.documents repo is probably not going to get reviewed. I mean, because Jeff is the one that needs to take a look at that and look at the changes, and because it's in LaTeX and it's just really hard for him to review any of the changes. Like I could create a document for him, but it wouldn't show a diff. So I don't know. I think that's sort of a lost cause, that NuPIC documents. I had high hopes for it at the beginning, but but we do need to just figure out a way for Jeff to get feedback, or at least for him to share his research process a little bit with the community, because they're hungry for it, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait and see what happens on the mailing list there, and I'm sure some action will come out of it.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm gonna take these NuPIC issues that are in Sprint 28 and move them over to Sprint 29, and we'll look. Did I do that with the core issues as well? No. Okay. And the other stuff I'll clean up as we go, I think. There's a couple of Cerebro. That's not Cerebro. Oh, my page is a bug. So one thing that I changed, last sprint I had a whole bunch of unassigned help wanted tickets that I put into the current sprint, hoping that it might make it easier for people to find something to work on, but it didn't really work, and it just kind of cluttered the sprint up. So this time I did not do that. I removed a bunch of, where am I? There we go. I removed a whole bunch of those help wanted tickets. Most of them were in like Cerebro 2 or tooling or NuPIC.org or something like that. So I took all of those out because it was cluttering everything up. So now we've just got these 4 tickets and 4 different projects, and we'll bump those up to Sprint 29. And then we'll take a quick review of Sprint 29, and we'll pretty much be done. Okay. And so I also have some stuff in Sprint 30 that I know I'm not going to get to, or that we're not going to get to until after the next sprint, so I'm planning ahead a little bit. But it's not super important stuff. Let me refresh this page real quick, and we'll see all of the issues in Sprint 29. Okay, so we've got 41 issues, which is pretty heavy in my opinion. I may go through here. Some of these were already in, like Austin's out today. He told me he was going to work on these 3 issues. Some of them are still unassigned. Some of them are marked with help wanted and are unassigned, and those are issues that I think I would like to get done, but I don't know who's going to do them. So those are up for grabs if anybody wants to work on them, of course. Most of these tickets are NuPIC issues, so core, essential repository issues. And most of them are assigned, but like I said, there's some in here that are not assigned that need a little bit of love if somebody's looking for work. Okay. Okay. So let me just make sure. Yeah. So there's nothing in Sprint 28. So this is our Sprint 29 at this point, and I think we've hit all of these issues in one way or another. Most of them don't need a lot of discussion. So. Okay. Anything else from anybody that you want to talk about in this sprint planning meeting before we move ahead? All right. Thanks for joining in, and if anybody wants to know how they can help, go to Dementa.org or email me at matt@dementa.org, and I will explain in great detail how you can help build NuPIC. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.
Cheers.